Part 34. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 331. Brother Dong had a piece of sliced bread in his mouth, and he casually watched them play while eating. At the end of the game, only Wen Qi and Yu Zhan were left with 4 casualties. Yu Zhan fell to the ground with blood, and Wen Qi finally threw a bomb, killing the other 2, and eating chicken with difficulty. Brother Dong pointed to Lu Yuyu, "Buy me a cup of coffee." Lu Yuyu gritted his teeth, "Do you really take yourself as an uncle?" Wen Qiao, "I'll order a takeaway." Lu Yuyu was filled with righteous indignation, "You are really used to him." When Wen Qiao ordered takeout, Brother Dong was pointing out the various mistakes that Wen Qi and the others could avoid in the previous round. When they entered the second layer of the poison circle, they entered the circle a little late. After a wave, because of being poisoned, the whole battle situation was a little chaotic. Ding Hai glanced at him and seemed to be a little disdainful of his instructions. "Brother Dong? You said so much, how is your own level?" Wen Qi was actually skeptical about his strength. After all, he didn't know where this person came from, and he didn't say that he had experience in leading a club. If it is really strong, which club doesn't want to poach him? Why would he come to such a small company that has just been established and whose future is unknown? Brother Dong pulled a chair, "Then play solo, let's go together. It's a desert map." In the end, there were only 5 people left, that is, 5 people present. Wen Qi and Xiaobai illegally formed a team, and Wen Qi drove with Xiaobai. Suddenly, Society, Brother Dong uses Ong to kill the southeast and northwest seas. With a headshot, Ding Hai was out. Then, Society, Brother Dong uses Ong to kill Brother Zhan's hobby is to be a father. Another headshot, U Exhibition Bureau. When Kai's eyes were slightly cold, the sound of gunfire was nearby, they had to be careful. He paid attention to the public screen and calculated that there should be only 1 Ong bullet left for Brother Dong. He is still not sure of Brother Dong's specific location in the long-distance battle. In melee combat, there is still hope for a fight. He's never going to kill 2 people with 1 Ong bullet. Society, Brother Dong uses Ong to kill Xia, and Xia quietly passed by and left little secrets. Sharp is out. Society, Brother Dong uses Ong to kill Brother Qi to be admitted to a key high school. When was late? Where 1 and 2? 1 bullet kills 2 people. Brother Dong took off his earphones, stretched out, looked at the 4 stunned teenagers, crossed his legs, smoked a cigarette, and knocked on the table. "To be honest, Brother Dong, my hobby is also being a father." Wen Qiao pulled Lu Yuyu, who was also stunned, out of the practice room. "How is it?" As soon as Lu Yuyu grabbed her hand, her eyes lit up. Qiao, you've earned it." At his level, he doesn't even want a salary, he's making a lot of money. Wen Qiao thought about it, "I still plan to pay him some salary and sign a contract, otherwise he will have no guarantee, and neither will I." That night, after the 4 teenagers left, Wen Qiao talked with Brother Dong, meaning that he could pay him 2 million a year at present, and then adjust his income based on the record, but he needed to sign a 2-year contract. Brother Dong waved his hand, "I don't need a salary or sign a contract, because I don't know how long I can stay here. Wen Qiao, if my players encounter any competition and you have to leave, there is no guarantee for me. Then I promise you, stay for at least 2 years, no salary, just food and accommodation." Wen Qiao thought that the world is full of wonders, and there are people who really regard money as dung. "Okay, then I trust you." Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 332. Although this Brother Dong doesn't seem to be reliable, Wen Qiao has an inexplicable sense of trust in him. Brother Dong glanced at her and smiled, "I see people very accurately, These boys are expected to win world-class championships. When Xiao was relieved, well, I also believe them. Fu Nanli went to prison in time to visit Fujiang. In the early spring, the air was humid and the sky was high. Sitting in handcuffs. When he saw Fu Nanli, no matter how much resentment Fujiang had in his heart, he still didn't dare to show it. The fear of his cousin is unforgettable. If he is still obsessed and does not repent, life in prison will not be easy. Elder brother. Fu Nanli didn't respond, and Fujiang changed his words very cowardly. Young master, I was wrong. Fu Nanli took his seat slowly, and glanced at him casually. Before you have been going through judicial proceedings and were detained by the procuratorate. It is not convenient for me to see you. I want to ask you something. You said. I was stranded on Nanbin Island, and the signal towers and ships on the island were all destroyed. Is it really you who did it? At this point, Fujiang is in prison, and he has nothing to hide, so he readily admits, it's me. The sunshine in the early spring was a little thin, and Fujiang was still frightened when he saw his brother's sullenness on the end of his eyebrows. I'm sorry, brother. Why are you trapping me on Nanbin Island? Because it was at the time of the mini-debt crisis, my funds were not available, and I wanted to ask your grandfather to help me fill the hole, but I offended Xiao Wen before, and I was afraid that you would not be willing to help, master, so. It doesn't have anything to do with what he thought. Then how did you know I was in Nanbin? I asked my driver Lu Dong to check it out. Fu Nanli frowned slightly. Where did he find it? At that time, he only brought 3 personal bodyguards, each of whom has been with their family for many years and is loyal. Besides, only Wen Qiao and the residents of the island knew that he was in Nanbin. Joel couldn't have leaked. It was told to us by someone on the island, and he took a photo and sent it to Lu Dong. Who is that person? Is there any contact information? There are some. Lu Dong's mobile phone is stored in the prosecutor's office, Li Yali. You can check it out. Fu Nan bowed his head. Got it? Fujiang said again, brother, after I came in, I reflected a lot. I really knew I was wrong. We are cousins, and we have some of the same blood in our bodies. I really shouldn't have hurt you. Fu Nanli stood up indifferently. It's good to know, think about it more. After that, he left the prison room. A person like Fujiang is obviously a typical representative of healing scars and forgetting pain. If he forgives his crimes easily, he will definitely make a comeback. Just stay in jail. Fu Nanli asked Fu Chuan to check Lu Dong's mobile phone. After checking, the islander had already left Nanbin Island, but he had no entry and exit records, as if he had disappeared out of thin air. Fu Nanli frowned slightly as he looked at Fu Chuan's investigation records. Is he thinking too much? He didn't want Xiao's weakness to be known by anyone, that would be used by others and threaten her life. He didn't dare to take it lightly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 333. Don't give up on tracking this islander, keep investigating, hire some mercenaries abroad, give them the photos, and reply to me if you have any news. Fu Chuan, got it? Wen Qiao has calculated an account. Now the composition income and club expenses can basically be balanced. Because of the recommendation of Lin Xiang and Chun Xiao, and her hard work every week, Station B has nearly 300,000 yuan. Fans. Moreover, her coin operation and charging have always been high. Even if she does not receive promotion, Station B still has a lot of income every month. B Station V, Weibo V, composer, hacker, behind-the-scenes club owner, Pipa master, Wen Qiao himself felt a little incredible. After being reborn, she has so many titles, her potential should be so infinite. And Sulu, even though she was thinking hard and wanted to beat Wen Qiao, she still made her life difficult. A few days after the glorious days, because of her high ambition to participate in a show, everything turned into a bubble again. Although Uncle Wen wasn't so snobbish as to change her face as soon as she collapsed, he really didn't greet her so much recently. She felt aggrieved and depressed. Really 30 years Hedong 30 years Hexi. At the beginning, she laughed at Wen Qiao for not being able to receive the care of her own father, but now she is not following in the footsteps of others, and she remembers her fate clearly. Because the matter of her ghost writing was almost confirmed, and her economic company didn't say it clearly, and Quan should have left her a little face. But it has become a tacit secret. She is really embarrassed in the central sound. Except for Zhao Tong, no one paid any attention to her, and everyone didn't say it publicly, but she knew that in private, everyone said that her heart was higher than the sky, and her life was thinner than paper. Even Jin Xian, who had joined their small team before, hasn't come over recently. A bunch of snobby people. The school's performance activities in all aspects and the competition abroad were all replaced by the junior sister and Song Yu. Suddenly she had nothing. She asked Zhao Tong, "Do you also look down on me?" Zhao Tong comforted her, "Lulu, aren't you really making those songs?" Sulu and Zhao Tong have nothing to hide, no. Zhao Tong hates iron not being steel, why do you have to tell lies like this? Look at now. Everyone is saying that you are hypocritical, and your level is not bad. Let's follow the steps step by step. If you have to be with Winjob, you will also have achievements that belong to you. Sulu's eyes were red. I grew up with her, and when I first went to Wen's house, all the servants said that I was not as good as their eldest lady, and they were all kicked out by Uncle Wen. People still miss her. When I saw Wen Qiao for the first time, I was obviously dressed better than her, and I was in a luxury car, but in front of her, I couldn't help feeling inferior. I didn't like her, I don't like her at all. Zhao Tong sighed, people live for themselves. You have to compare with her. What do you think you won in the end? Sulu's eyes drooped slightly. From the beginning to the end, all I want is actually Zhuang Yan. She doesn't like Zhuang Yan now, but she still wants to occupy him. What is this? Zhao Tong didn't know what to say. She doesn't occupy Zhuang Yan, right? Isn't she good with Master Fu? You don't know anything. When I asked her out before, she pretended to be dizzy in front of me, so that Zhuang Yan misunderstood that I did it, which deepened the estrangement between me and Zhuang Yan. She was too scheming. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 334. Zhao Tong persuaded her, forget it, Lulu, don't mess with Wen Qiao. I think she is very powerful now. I'm just afraid that the more you mess with her, the worse you will end up. A cold light flashed in Sulu's eyes. Can she still have the ability to reach the sky with 3 heads and 6 arms? Zhao Tong was also speechless. Although Wen Qiao has some identities that can be considered bluffing, in school, she is still the ordinary college student who racked her brains with their members of the small broken club to think about how to promote folk music and how to integrate Chinese and Western music. Spring is blooming, and the cherry blossoms in front of the folk music Little Red House and the magnolias of Hiken complement each other. Several people sit on the second floor round terrace and practice the song. The play is Tchaikovsky's The Nutcracker, the cheerful and humorous style, the sea of flowers in the spring. Everyone is very happy. While resting, Wen Qiao heard footsteps from far to near. Lu Yuyo looked around and saw that the uninvited guest was Jin Xian. It was the betrayer Jin Xian who saw the wind and turned the rudder, saw the decline of folk music and kicked away his original major without mercy, and turned into the arms of the Western music viola. Yo, Rare guest, what is your classmate doing? Seeing that Jin Xian, who used to be arrogant and bossy in front of them in the past, is now humbled and petite, President Lu. Lu Yu digged her ears. Ah. President Lu? Did I hear this wrong? Just say something if you have something to say, don't make a fool of me. Jin Xian said cautiously, that's right. It wasn't until I left the folk music department and didn't play erhu for a long time that I realized that I still care about folk music and erhu. Wen Qiao lowered her head and smiled. It's high sounding, but this person is not honest. Of course Lu Yu won't give her face, folk music? Erhu. It's because I failed the final exam last semester, and I didn't pass the viola grade this semester, so I remembered the folk music that you abandoned long ago. Jin Xian, who was exposed, couldn't hang on her face. Anyway, I heard that if I want to come back, I have to pass the approval of President Lu from your side. You shouldn't embarrass me. Anyway, it's from the same root. Lu Yu rolled his eyes mercilessly. I don't dare to be born with the same roots as you, the top Western Lego student. Yu, aren't you going to spare no effort to promote folk music? Wouldn't it be a good thing for one more person to join this big family? Lu Yu's expression became serious. We are promoting folk music, but we won't take the grass. We hope that the folk music department are all people who love folk music from the bottom of their hearts. Jin Xian, you climbed high branches when folk music was the most difficult time. Son, it was you who started at that time. After you, the folk music department, which had a small number of people, turned a lot to Western music. Folk music was difficult to support, and it was almost a relationship. You still try your best to look down on folk music, forget. You are still there, we have shouted many times in front of us, and if I don't have a good memory, I will tell you again, we will definitely not accept it. Now that you have transferred to the viola, you should improve your viola skills. If you can't, drop out of school and take the college entrance examination again. Jin Xian's face was as pale as paper. Retake the high school entrance exam? This is really scary. Lu Yu got up and patted her on the shoulder. In the adult world, if you make the wrong choice, you will definitely pay the price, think about it yourself. But Jin Xian still wanted to say something. You can go. Lu Yu's eyes were firm. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 335. Jin Xian knew that if she went on, she would be humiliating herself, so she could only walk away in despair. As soon as Jin Xian left, Yushu rushed over. Wen Qiao, there is a family conflict in my family, but it's all because of you. Wen Qiao, huh? My brother Yu Zhan said that he wanted to join your club, but my old man found out about it. He felt that he was not in the game. Yu Zhan was very rebellious and said he must join. Now there is a world-class war at home every 3 days. I don't object. He plays games, but you have to figure out a way to solve the world war in my house. Wen Qiao's phone vibrated. Her mother called. She made a shush gesture and answered the phone. Jojo, Xiao Kai said that he wanted to join a club. Do you know that? Wen Qiao felt guilty for a while. Not only did she know, but she also opened this club. Vaguely heard about it? You come back soon, talk to me about him, and don't get distracted until you go to college. Wen Qiao thought, esports are meant to eat young people, where would anyone want them to join the club when they get to the university? Okay, I'll be right back. After hanging up, she said to Yushu, first solve the world war in my family and then take care of yours. After saying that, he ran away. Some people just like to meddle in other people's family affairs, such as her aunt. When I ran home, I saw my aunt teaching Wen Qi with a sad face. Xiao Qi, it's better to study hard and go to a serious university. Just like your cousin, They are all famous universities. After graduation, you will enter a big company like your cousin, have a stable job, and be decent when you speak out, and play games. That's all bad business. Wen Qiao almost wanted to laugh. Is this ant's hand stretched too long? He may wanted to show her favor. She was in the market and society, and she still had such a good eye for people. She felt that the girl Wen Qiao must have something to do. So on this side, she jumped up and down trying to give advice to someone who came over. Wen Qiao entered the room with a cold face, and patted He-mei, who was pointing at Zhang Shan. I'm sorry, this is our family's family affairs. You are an outsider, so don't interfere. He-mei's face sank. You child, how do you talk? What are outsiders? Not outsiders, I am your aunt, can I still look forward to you? Hypocritical family love. Wen Qiao's only patience is gone. No, I hope we are bad or we are good, we don't need it, please leave now, lest I say something unpleasant at that time. He-mei had seen Wen Qiao's fierceness. Seeing that her eyes were cold and impatient, she didn't dare to stay any longer. She only said to Su-yun, the children who play games are all dead in the end. You can't be without principles. Wen Qiao's forehead throbbed with blue veins. I told myself in my heart, how can I say that she is an elder, can't fight, can't fight. Seeing that Wen Qiao was clenching her fists, He-mei was so scared that she ran away in a hurry, and muttered, it's not all for your family's good, you child, you don't know good people. The house is quiet again. When Mo and Wen Qi were sitting on the sofa, Su-yun was sitting at the dining table with a worried look on her face. Wen Qiao walked over and poured her a cup of tea. Aunt is really a woman in the market, she doesn't even know how to look up at the world. CG Club and VG all clubs have won championships in international leagues. It is an honorable event that can make our country's red flag fly in the broadcast channels all over the world. Just like the Olympians, we should be proud of this, instead of being self-sufficient and outdated. Distill thinks that playing games is not doing a proper job. Mom, times have changed. Wen Qi quietly gave her a thumbs up, saying that it was his sister who knew better. I have a little cold in the past 2 days. I went to the hospital for a check to reassure myself. The flu is serious recently, everyone should take precautions. Try not to go to crowded places. Hope everyone is healthy. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 336. Su-yun didn't quite listen to it. I'm not against him playing games, I mean, at least when he gets into college, I'll leave him alone. Can I play games for the rest of my life? If he didn't get into a good university, how did he make a living? Wen Qiao patiently said word by word, first of all, Wen Qi and he promised me that he would devote part of his energy to his studies without delaying his studies. My requirement for him is to try to get an undergraduate degree. The child's game level has reached a certain level. He can play professional games. After retiring, he can also be a coach and an anchor of a live broadcast platform. What's more, he can create his own club. Mom and Wen Qi belong to him. A rare talent in the game industry. After a pause, he said, also, you said that you can play games after college. For esports players, if they enter the club at that time, they are already too old. Su-yun was a little surprised. Is it too old at the age of 19 or 20? Well, youth trainees usually start training from 15 to 16. Su-yun frowned. I always think it's better to go to a serious university and find a stable job. I'll cook first. The elders all think like this. Wen Qiao knows that it is difficult to convince her mother in a short time with her few words. As soon as Su-yun left, Wen Qi held his head and sighed, what age are they, why are their thoughts still so outdated? Wen Qiao knocked on his head, mom has mother's worries. Then what? Wen Qiao took out his mobile phone and sent a message to Fu Nanli, Jianghu emergency, are you free to come to my house? After dinner was ready, the family, including Uncle Ji, sat around the table. Ji Mingyuan was on the side of the children, but he couldn't express his position. Fu Nanli came and joined them and sat at the table together, which seemed even more crowded. On the way here, Wen Qiao sent him a message, roughly meaning that he hoped that he would be a lobbyist to convince her mother to allow her brother to join the club. Young Master Fu is helpless, is he an eloquent person? Does the little girl look down on him too much? He has always been in Dongchuan or Zhonghuan, and he only needs to issue orders, and others will follow suit, but now facing her mother, she can't use an imperative tone. The little girl will really give him problems. After Fu Nanli came, he didn't speak directly. He just ate silently with them. Wen Qiao was in a hurry and squeezed his hand under the table. How did this man eat it right away? Forgot the purpose of his trip? Seeing that she was impatient, Fu Nanli finally said, about Wen Kai's entry into the club. Everyone's ears perked up. Nowadays, the esports industry is very mature, and the domestic start is later than that of South Korea and European and American countries, but there are also many talented children. In the past few years, almost all competitions were accompanied by running, and I watched players from other countries stand in the championship and receive the award. On stage, Fu Nanli was invited to be a lobbyist. He checked some information on the way. He never fought unprepared battles. He clicked on some pictures on his mobile phone and handed them to Su Yun, look at it, these are the pictures of Chinese contestants 3 or 4 years ago when they were looking at other people accepting the prize. The loneliness and longing in his eyes are clear at a glance. Others stood on the podium and held up the trophy with glory, flowers and applause came from all directions, but they could only stand in the corner where no one was paying attention, watching all this eagerly. This look is so touching. Su Yun was a little moved. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 337. Moreover, Fu Nanli was the eldest young master of the Fu family, so what he said had an inexplicable credibility. Now the country has gradually begun to pay attention to the esports industry, and various clubs are emerging one after another. I heard from Qiao that Wen Qi and several of his friends are not only talented in this area, but also study hard. If you don't delay your studies, under the circumstances, joining the club is also a good career plan. Ji Mingyuan hurriedly said, Mr. Fu said that, it's not wrong, maybe the Fu family will open a club in the future, and there will be champions in 360 lines. Su Yun was relieved. High school is the most critical time for learning. I'm afraid that the child will only play games and forget about learning. Wen Qi is a person with unsteady perseverance. Wen Qi, Mom, I'm very attentive and persevering in my studies now, okay. He has recovered from his illness, and now he is very focused when studying, and he has also vaguely realized the characteristics of Wen Mo's scholar. Wen Qiao made his final statement, Mom, like this, let Wen Qi promise you that after entering high school, every time you take an exam, you must not be lower than the top 10 in the class. If there is any sign of a decline in his grades, he will be withdrawn from the club immediately. Do you think how about it? Su Yun completely disarmed and surrendered, okay, Wen Qi, did you hear what your sister said? As soon as your grades drop, you have to listen to me and quit the club. Wen Qi immediately raised his hand to swear. When Mo wrote on his mobile phone, Mom, rest assured, I will urge him to do his homework. Su Yun completely compromised and agreed that Wen Qi would enter the club to play a professional game. Of course, he officially became a professional player after the high school entrance examination. After the emergency was over here, Wen Qiao took Fu Nanli to Yu's house again. The old man of the Yu family has no position at all. As soon as Fu Nanli opened his mouth, he immediately agreed. That is the young master of the Fu family. He said that the esports industry has a future, so how can it be false? Yu Shu admitted Lu Yuyu's words. Wen Qiao's boyfriend is very powerful, this young master Fu is indeed very powerful. Wen Qiao admired him so much. Yu Shu's grandfather personally went to the door and opened the car door for Fu Nanli. Fu Nanli asked Wen Qiao to get into the car first, and then he got into the car. The old man in his 70s bowed slightly and said, "Mr." Fu Nan bowed his head, "Okay." The car slowly left the Yu family's villa, and Wen Qiao adored her eyes. The elders are very obedient to your words, you are amazing. Fu Nanli rubbed the top of her hair, I just told the truth and analyzed the situation with them. Generally speaking, they are reasonable. Wen Qiao thought to herself, that's just being reasonable in front of you. He took the person to his chest, that's good. Huh, Wen Qiao didn't know why. If something comes to my mind, let me help you solve the problem, that's fine. Not pretending to be strong in front of him, and asking for him, this kind of Wen Qiao made him feel at ease, and made him feel that maybe, in addition to protecting her life, she has gradually become accustomed to relying on him. He wanted to spoil her so much that he couldn't leave him. Central Sound. After Sulu became an abandoned child, Yuhua Media wanted to train another student who could compete with Wen Qiao. Sister Li found Song Yu. Song Yu is beautiful. She is currently the schoolgirl of Yanjian. She plays the piano. She is no worse than Sulu in all aspects, and she can barely compete with Wen Qiao. However, Song Yu was very vigilant. She learned that this company was the company that favored Sulu. After considering it for a few days, she rejected Sister Li. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 338. I still want to learn the professional knowledge of piano from Central Yin, and I will talk about it after I graduate. Compared with Sulu, Song Yu is not a person with a higher heart than the sky. She is very real, and she vaguely feels that the economic company is not right. Sister Li couldn't believe it, that there are people who are not good at getting fame, fortune, and wealth at their fingertips. What a stupid child. But your people behind the boss gave orders not to force others. Since this silly girl Song Yu is unwilling, she will find someone else. There are so many people in Yanjian, all of them young, beautiful, and talented. Song Yu just gave up a good opportunity. Just people. Not only did Song Yu not join Yuhua, she also found Wen Qiao and said, I want to join the folk music club, is that okay? Wen Qiao was a little puzzled, you are from Western music, why do you want to join our folk music club? Aren't Yu Shu and Dong Yao both from Western music? Don't they also join your folk music club? I think music should have no borders. I like Western music, and I can also like folk music, and I like your folk music club. Atmosphere. Wen Qiao nodded, I'll ask Yu's opinion. When Lu Yu heard it, she waved her hand and immediately agreed to Song Yu's application for joining the club. On the other hand, Miss Yu asked some questions in a decent manner, do you have any special skills? Song Yu thought about it for a long time, my driving skills are good. If you have any club activities in the future, I can be a driver. Wen Qiao raised her eyebrows, I can't tell. Yu Shu and Lu Yu, really? Then I'll take you to the racetrack to try. A group of 6 went to a nearby racing track with Song Yu. Lu Yu, Yu Shu, and Wen Qiao got into Song Yu's car. The car has a displacement of 1.6 L, a 6-cylinder engine with a supercharger. Because the neighbor Kai likes to play big motorcycles, Wen Qi is also a little interested in this aspect, so Wen Qiao also knows a little bit. Song Yu, who was originally gentle, got into the car and seemed to be a different person. The car started the engine suddenly, and with a whistle, it rushed out like an arrow from the string. Lu Yuyu grabbed the car ring and screamed. Beautifully changing lanes, turning and drifting, Wen Qiao remained calm, and Lu Yuyu's cry almost pierced her eardrums. From this point of view, their folk music club is really crouching tiger, hidden dragon, and full of talents. 3 minutes and 20 seconds, the car rushed to the finish line. Lu Yuyu pushed open the car door, crouched on the side of the road and vomited wildly, waving his hand. Song Yu can join the folk music club. Song Yu hugged Wen Qiao. That's great. Yu Shu folded his arms and squinted at her. I reasonably suspect that you joined the folk music club to chase stars. Song Yu smiled. Qiao, I'll give you the title of school beauty. Wen Qiao, beauty is inherently diverse. You are also beautiful. You don't have to belittle yourself. I think with you around, I'm just unworthy of virtue. Then when we go to our sophomore year and reselect the school's beauties, will we compete fairly? Song Yu, okay. In March, Yan Jian came to a Chinese student who grew up abroad, and he was still learning Guhan. Lu Yuyu said while nibbling on melon seeds, I heard that the family of looks is top. Chun Xiao, how can you learn Guhan when you grew up abroad? Lu Yuyu, the elderly in the family have a complex in this regard. A tall, stylishly dressed, and good-looking girl walked into the folk music building. The girl was Fang Duo, who came back from abroad this time to join the Central Music folk music class. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 339. Fang Duo smiled and looked at several people. I want to join the folk music club. I heard that this is where the folk music club works. Lu Yuyu got up to welcome her seriously. If you are willing to join, we are very welcome. I heard that Guhan's level, professional skills are comparable to Wen Qiao Juanyan. Of course she welcomes this girl to join. Wen Qiao faintly saw a little sense of superiority from the girl's expression. Fang Duo and Lu Yuyu shook hands. I can join the folk music club, but I have one condition. Bewildered. Why does her tone seem to be that they begged her to join the folk music club? Wasn't this sister who took the initiative to apply to join the folk music club? Why did you bring up the conditions? Wen Qiao held her cheeks and watched this classmate Fang, who had returned from overseas, show her superiority. That is, I want to be the president of the folk music club. Wen Qiao's eyes were slightly cold, and she glanced at Fang Duo coldly, trying to grab her place. He. Lu Yuyu let go of her hand with a smile on her face. I'm sorry, the folk music club already has a president, that's me. I know you, Lu Yuyu, your theoretical knowledge and professional skills are mediocre. Obviously, you can't convince the public in this position. Wen Qiao walked to Lu Yuyu's side, took her by the shoulders, and looked at Fang Duo coldly. I'm sorry, you misunderstood. Yuyu is the president. All members of our company obey her and respect all the decisions she makes. She is a good president, and she has made a lot of contributions to folk music. Several other people also stood behind Lu Yuyu and supported Lu Yuyu as the president of the folk music club with practical actions. Each one looks unpleasant. Fang Duo couldn't hang on her face for a while. She thought that she had returned from abroad and had an S-class Guhan. These folk music club bunnies would hold her in the eyes of all the stars. Unexpectedly, these people were very ignorant. She snorted contemptuously, I see that you are obviously unwilling to make progress. What's the big deal? I will set up a folk music club myself. Wen Qiao smiled, that's easy. Fang Duo arrogantly said turned around and left. Lu Yu rolled his eyes. I thought it was a teammate, but who would have thought it was the opposite? Wen Xiao, don't pay attention to her. The early cherry blossoms failed, and the late cherry blossoms followed closely behind, and the entire Heikan was surrounded by flowers. Wen Xiao took Wen Mo to Chen Yanfei for consultation. The sun was shining outside the window, and the cherry blossoms were dancing in the wind. Wen Xiao sat aside and listened to Chen Yanfei giving Xiao Mo some test questions. The early spring sun made her drowsy. The room was quiet, and finally Wen Xiao was woken up by Chen Yanfei. Xiao Xiao. Wen Xiao's drowsiness was scattered, and she looked at Chen Yanfei sleepily. Well, Dr. Chen. Chen Yanfei patted Wen Mo's shoulder lightly. Xiao Mo goes outside and waits for her sister. Wen Mo was obedient, walked out of the consultation room, and took him to the door. Wen Xiao was a little uneasy. Dr. Chen, how is Xiao Mo's condition? Chen Yanfei took a sip of water. He is recovering very well. The physical symptoms can be said to be cured, and the psychological recovery is also good. In terms of speaking, it needs some slight stimulation, which may be able to prompt him to speak. Slight stimulation? What kind of stimulation method? The person he cares about is injured in front of him, but don't act rashly. It may stimulate him to break through the psychological barrier and open his mouth, but another may prompt him to deepen his psychological defense. Let me observe it again. Wen Xiao followed the doctor's advice. Okay, I won't act rashly. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 340. Wen Xiao led Wen Mo back home. Su Yun was cooking dinner with Ji Mingyuan in the kitchen. She called out, Zhou Qiao, go to the roof and collect the dried lettuce. Wen Xiao climbed the ladder to the roof of the bungalow, put the dried lettuce on the bamboo strips into the bamboo basket one by one, and prepared to go downstairs with the bamboo basket. As soon as she stepped on the two-story ladder, she swears that she is definitely a good family member of the patient who obeys the doctor's orders. Pat, she stepped on a ladder, and the bamboo basket in her hand spilled out instantly. She reached out to grab something, but it was in vain. The sky was spinning, and the spring breeze whistled in my ears. The click sound of the left wrist fracture and Wen Mo's sudden sister sound came to her ear together. Wen Xiao put her palms on the ground and fell heavily on the ground. Wen Mo shouted sister and rushed over. Hearing Wen Mo calling her sister, Wen Xiao even felt that the fracture didn't hurt so much. She slumped on the ground and touched Wen Mo's face with her right hand excitedly. Xiao Mo, are you calling your sister? Dr. Chen is honest and does not deceive others, and the trick is really useful. This can be regarded as a mistake and called her to run into it. Su Yun, Ji Mingyuan, and Wen Qi heard a sister in a trance, and they all ran out to see Wen Qiao slumped on the ground with dried lettuce scattered all over the floor. Su Yun was startled. Did Qiao fall? Are you okay? Wen Qiao felt pain in the vertebrae of her left wrist. She endured the pain and looked at her mother with a smile. Xiao Mo just called me sister. Su Yun couldn't believe it. I really want to hear a big sister. Is it really Xiao Mo's call? Wen Mo's eyes were full of worry and nervousness, and he grabbed Wen Qiao's right hand. Wen Qiao broke out in cold sweat from the pain. Xiao Mo, shout again, or they'll think I'm hallucinating. Wen Mo's hands trembled slightly, and his eyes were full of contradictions and entanglements, but looking at his sister's expectant eyes and the sweat on his forehead, in the end, he managed to take that step, and a weak voice squeezed out from his lips, elder sister. Several people's faces were full of joy, and when she rubbed his head, it's really talking, it sounds like me. When Mo said again, sister, it hurts. Only then did Su Yun realize that the sweat on Wen Qiao's forehead had wet her hair. Qiao, what's wrong with you? Where are you injured? Wen Qiao raised his left hand with difficulty. Wrist hurts. The pain was so piercing that she couldn't breathe. When Fu Nanli entered the door, he saw that the whole family was in a mess. Wen Qi was half squatting to carry his sister. He couldn't help but sank. Wen Qi took a look and said hurriedly, "Brother-in-law, you are here. My sister may have a broken bone and is about to take her to the hospital." Fu Nanli hurriedly slammed her into his arms, and Wen Qiao muttered, "A broken hand, not a broken leg, I can walk." Fu Nanli couldn't hear anything, he hugged her and hurried out of the small courtyard, and hurriedly walked out along the long and narrow alley. Divide into 2 cars and go straight to the nearest hospital. Because number 9 middle school hired Chen Yanfei as a psychology lecturer, Chen Yanfei would report to the boss of number 9 middle school, Fu Nanli, when she had something, especially the illness of the 2 Wen brothers. As a result, Fu Nanli received a message from Chen Yanfei on her mobile phone that the injury of relatives may stimulate Wen Mo to speak. His face suddenly sank, and he looked at Wen Qiao, who was pale in pain. Dr. Chen said that it is also a way to stimulate Wen Mo to speak with the injury of his family.